It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lassant Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lassant.
Welcome to the Sam Lassant Show, folks. Great show for you today. Yes. So you have some money, or you want to invest. You want to make sure that you're going to get the proper return. This show is going to give you a great education. My guest today is Don Galade. He is CEO of GFS Financial Advisors since 1987. Now, you're going to learn some things today, which I learned prior to taping the show. Don, nice to see you.
Thanks for having me on.
I can't believe you've been around since 1987.
I know. Well, you're around longer than me.
Yes, I am. Yeah, we started a couple of years. And I'm only 47.
That's right. I'm catching up to you.
What makes Don Galade, GFS Financial Advisors, phone numbers on the screen, my friends, different?
Well, you know, Sam, there's tons of people that do what I do. And I'm not going to talk about my competition, negatively. But everybody who calls themselves a financial advisor is literally not always an advisor by legal standings. For example, some people sell just stocks. Some people sell just annuities. Some people do just CDs. And for those things, you need different licenses. And not many people have all of the licenses. So, there's a guy that might just sell only annuities. And annuities are awesome for a specific need. And then there's a guy that might only sell stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, and they're fantastic. But the problem is people use the product as to what they should be invested in rather than having a plan. For example, if you're a young guy, you could afford to take more risk. You can have more money in stocks and things that are more risky. If you're older, you should be taking gradually less risk. But the problem is, like recently when the market has done, well, it hasn't done much of anything recently, but people have a tendency to do the opposite. They buy high and they sell low instead of the opposite. They move their money around trying to time the market, and that's very, very bad. But most importantly is you have to know what you have. Many people don't even know what they have. They say, what's in your portfolio? I don't know, my guy just gives me this, this, and this. And then as soon as the market tanks, they say, listen, I want to pull out. And then as soon as the market's on fire and they say they want zero risk, they're like, well, I want to buy in. So sadly, not many people have an actual plan for what they want to do. They just randomly buy products. And it's really self-defeating, because if you have an actual plan, you got a little bit of everything. And then you're balanced, truly balanced. Now, you don't have 1,000 different investments. You have some that are risky, some that are in the middle of the road, and some that have zero risk. That's balanced.
How would I know if I have $50,000 or $100,000 or $10,000 or $5,000 that I'd like to invest in? How do I know which area to go in?
That's a great question. And, I wish everybody asked that question. I have, as many people who do what I do have, very sophisticated software. And legally now, people in my profession are required to prove that they've asked these questions to do what's called, it's feasible for you, it's suitable for you. So we're going to sit down, and much like when you had doctors on before, when you go into a doctor's office, they don't just say, here's a pill, Sam, see ya. They say, tell me about your history. Tell me how old are your parents? What are they doctoring for? They want to know your medical history. They want triage. Okay. So we must do the same thing in my industry. I need to know what your goals are. Now, everybody says the same thing. I want to make money and not have any risk. Well, yeah, and everybody wants a Cadillac, all right? It doesn't happen that way. But there's a very sophisticated piece of software that very simply we fill out. It asks questions, and it comes up with a score, all right? And not to belabor this, but let's just say the score goes from 0 to 100, and your score is a 50. All right, that is indicative of your goals, your risk tolerance, what you expect your plan to do. So then we match that score with investments that are of the same score. So if your score is a 0, I'm not going to put you in something that has a score of 100, and vice versa. Now, if you stay in the buckets that match your score, you won't be hurt. Now, I can't say you'll never lose money, but if you say, I don't want to lose money at all ever, well then that's a very low score. We put you in buckets that you can never, ever, ever lose money. Now, if you say, hey, I'm not making any money, the market's on fire, I want to change that, you're going against medical advice here. You're pulling your money out of the plan, and that's when you get burned. Likewise, people will buy a product, as we talked about earlier, rather than having the whole plan. They'll say, for an example, an annuity. An annuity could be an amazing tool